What's up, Thumpers? Welcome back to another episode of HyperCast here on Hyper Rabbit Power Go. It's been a hot minute since we had a chance to record one of these.
It's been a while.
We backlogged some of these, and now we've just been so busy in the last month that we've had now finally being able to get back together to record a new one. And we've got some fun stuff to share. If you don't know what this is, if you don't know what HyperCast is, it's an opportunity for us to get together and talk about topics and things that interest us very much, whether it's in tech, entertainment, or any of that sort of stuff that we're into, gaming, tabletop RPGs. And we just discuss it amongst ourselves. And sometimes we take questions from you guys via Patreon or social media. And we've had a pretty exciting month. We did a lot of stuff. We also just celebrated our 4th birthday.
Yes.
Ooh,
Happy
we
birthday.
did it. We have survived. Going into our 5th year.
That was exciting. We're rebuilding the studio.
Yeah, because we hit our goal.
We hit our goal on the hyperdrive,
Yep.
and we are rebuilding the studio. So
Yeah.
next time we do one of these, this will look different.
Mm-hmm.
Malika wants to do a neon forest kind of vibe, and I'm super into it.
Are you into it?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
when
I do this every one of these. Every one.
Well,
of
you
Lucas,
gotta eat the microphone.
we have a plan. We need to catch you up.
Well, Lucas was here, so we partially kind of explored this when
Yeah.
we did this show.
Yeah.
I think 2 episodes ago, we did a mood board.
Yeah.
And after the episode, you and I really started looking at what if we took this theme of camping and forest
Right.
and neon and all
Journey
these,
Onward.
yeah, and these
stuff.
bright colors, and how could we kind of incorporate it into one thing? And I don't know, I thought it was a really fun. It kind of took the best of both worlds that I really enjoy, which is travel and this bright, colorful sort of Blade Runner-y look, and
Yeah.
kind of putting it together into
Now
one.
we
I
get
thought
to
would be
see
fun.
if I can make that into a set.
Yeah, I mean, there's elements of it in here.
There's elements, but it's
Yeah.
not cohesive.
We should talk to our set expert. For
I
this,
already
though.
messaged them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
I'm
cool.
already on that.
You're
But
a
we
set
start
expert.
next week. I'm going to be building a light grid, which is the thing I'm most excited
Yeah,
about.
I've been
'Cause
looking
this
at our YouTube
this
search history.
Stupid thing. Oh, you've been looking at it.
At 5 a.m., I'm like, he's
no.
been looking up stuff.
He's going to know all my secrets. I research anything I've ever learned how to do. Tip, kids, don't go to college. Just use YouTube.
It's true.
Everything I've learned how to do has been off of watching YouTube
all
tutorials.
the watch history stuff that you guys watch, whether it's tech stuff, I'm like, I want to learn too. I want to watch this. Oh, it's a great video. Great insight. Yeah.
I delete my search history. I refuse to leave a trail.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, when I'm logged into my personal account, I keep it up because it
Yeah.
recommends things to me.
Oh, for
but
sure.
when I'm on the
What are you
Hyper
afraid?
RPG
What are you afraid I'll
account,
find, wife?
Well, I mean, I like to watch those pimple popping videos and stuff. So
Well,
you
thank
guys
you.
don't need to see that.
Thank you.
Well, now we know the insights into your search history, so
I mean, then it just kind of
Lucas is about
recommends.
to leave.
You go down this dark hole that gets grosser and grosser,
Yeah.
and then it's
Okay.
skin surgery,
So it really is for our benefit.
Yeah, it's for your benefit.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
There's a reason why I paused the watch history on our YouTube channel, but someone enabled it, and I was like, all right, well.
Oh, I didn't even know you could pause and enable it. Yeah, no idea.
all these little tricks. We also did a lot of other fun stuff. We did the My Hero Academia premiere.
It was rad. We had a
killed it.
drone.
Yeah.
We killed it. We did it live IRL out of a drone.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't supposed to do live IRL. If you watch really closely in the live event,
Don't mention the seam, Zach.
you might see where a little warning error comes up on the screen. Because
Object close.
Yeah, basically to be able to do live IRL out of a drone, we had to capture the screen that was for the drone control, and the pilot had to turn off all control notifications while flying. So we could only really do locked shots with a little bit of movement because it wasn't safe to do any more than that. But it was still cool. We figured out how to live IRL out of a drone. It was
And
rad.
that's why I'm looking to maybe improve our production insurance.
Why would you do
In case we
that?
drop a drone on someone.
It's not like somebody lost a finger doing this job.
Yeah. Anyways, our birthday, the premiere was great. Check
Yeah.
it out on Funimation channels. And then rebuilding our studio. And then also some people mentioned this on Twitter. Zach and I had the opportunity to go up to San Francisco to get a preview
Of the new Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's
Wait,
Gate
people on
3.
social media mentioned that?
No.
Did you forget?
No, we mentioned it.
Oh,
but
okay.
in a comment,
Gotcha.
they were like, oh, I'm looking forward to hearing you guys talk about it on HyperCast. And all I have to say is it's gorgeous.
It's really cool.
And D&D fans should be very pleased.
It's literally just playing D&D with a really good script.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really tight. They were very. I thought it was really interesting because we see a lot of game previews and we weren't allowed to talk about it for a week after we saw it. For a game preview that's not even at the technically what they would call their beta
Alpha,
phase
yeah.
or alpha, it's really, really good and really far along.
It's very beautiful.
And
funny.
A lot of stuff was already there. And these games like this, where it's like playing D&D, there are so many options. I can't imagine how long it takes to make these. But it looks good. It's really tight. Lots of options you could pretty much do. You can come up with any crazy idea and follow it through. It was really cool. It was neat. I don't know much about the Baldur's Gate history, so it was cool to kind of get an insight into all that. And it was neat.
New studio. That's one of the big things.
Yeah, it's being shifted to the same people that did Divinity, Original Sin 1 and 2, which those games are absolutely fantastic. You can squad up with a team of friends, and it's like playing D&D at home in a way, but you could squad up, and it's really cool.
Nice.
Nothing but good things to say.
So we want to talk about some new projects we're launching here at HyperRPG.
I feel like we've done so much new stuff since we last recorded.
I can't even, and there's
you
so much
did a whole Midsummer
stuff.
RPG.
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff.
With beautiful thumbnail art, Adam. Oh.
Look, just give me Ethan Cryboy all day and I'll make thumbnails.
Yeah, let's put that soft boy on all our thumbnails crying.
When Ethan gives you a picture of him crying, you just want to put it on everything, right? But I know I mentioned Mulan. I was actually talking to Twitch about it, and we might save that for Asian Pacific Islander Month. So that is May, I think.
Well, it was May or June. They wanted us to push it.
Well, May is APA month.
Okay.
Yeah. And then also, Bria and I decided we're going to launch a new show on Thursdays.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Is it just a show?
Thank God it's not Thursday.
The show? That's all we can know?
We want it to be a place for ladies.
Okay.
Lady show.
Yeah.
Lady show.
Lady show.
Okay.
Ladies and
on Twitch?
And other gender minorities on something. I don't know. It'll probably be like, I think we were trying to revamp.
You've got 2 weeks to shop it.
Yeah.
I was going to say, sounds like you got it really well thought out.
Oh, I came up with it yesterday with her. It's going to be great.
Is
we're
this
gonna
on
talk
Twitch
about,
or Spotify or YouTube? Or?
We haven't figured it out yet, but we just realized there is a huge part of the Thumper community, which is our ladies and non-binary friends, and we just don't have a place where they dominate.
I mean, it should probably be on Twitch because we don't have anything in that 4 to 6 p.m. time slot.
I mean, that was the original idea.
Yeah.
And then we would talk about things that lady nerds like.
Cool.
All right.
Great.
I mean, I think that's kind of the advantage of us having to rebuild a studio is having 2 weeks to
figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
And our insurance. And one thing that I can promise, though.
I don't know why this is a discussion topic.
All right, let's move it on.
And I've been shopping for a new insurance company.
Also, I want to remind people and encourage people that if you are subscribed, make sure you guys hit the bell for notifications to get notified whenever we post new videos. There's a new video that went out on YouTube, I think in the last 3 or 4 days, that actually says if you upload more than 3 videos a day, it only pushes notifications for the first 3 videos that you upload within a 24-hour period. So I've been noticing that a lot of people are like, man, you guys are not really making that much stuff on YouTube. I'm like, what are you talking about?
What
We've
are
been
you
doing
talking about?
5 videos, up to 5 videos a week. But when you upload more than 3 things in a 24-hour period, you don't get notified for certain things. So we're definitely trying to stretch out the schedule more so we can upload 1 to 2 things a day and put a big buffer of time in between everything so people are getting notifications for everything that we post. But, for Hyper Heroes, we've been doing a new sort of format. We've been doing singular topic, focus videos on we did one on the Batman Batsuit breakdown. So we're really trying to focus on one particular thing and doing shorter stuff and just being able to do more per week. But yeah, there were some people who were like, oh man, I really would miss watching your guys' stuff. I'm like, dude, we've been doing 10 videos every 2 weeks. So yeah, make sure you hit the bell for notifications and hit that like button if you enjoy this podcast. A lot of people have been giving us a lot of great feedback on the podcast.
Speaking of, can you give us a follow on the Instagrams? I found out today from Instagram that people on average see only 30% of the content they follow.
Yep.
So.
And the more you engage with a page, the more it shows up in your feed.
Yes.
Oh, that Facebook data.
Yeah.
That's
so
Facebook
please give us some likes, some comments, some follows on Instagram. It would be really great. It's a brand benchmark we're trying to
Here's
hit.
my tip I'm going to give you all. Go outside.
Take your phone with you and check Instagram.
And while you're at it, take a photo. Maybe make a story.
Get out of the
Add
house.
a filter.
Go sit in a park somewhere. Open up Instagram.
I also
and
like
give
to point
us a
out this is
follow.
coming from someone who never leaves the house. Ever.
This morning.
Ever.
This morning.
You did a mail run.
I went out and did a mail run, and let me tell you, it felt pretty good.
Yeah, you realize, there's a world out there.
The sun was shining. Wow. There were birds chirping. I went and picked up some burritos for my friends, and by 10 a.m., I felt like I had accomplished so much.
Sounds like a Disney princess scene, like exiting the house and just
Mira
beautiful
Cinderella
music.
over
A
here.
bird lands on your shoulder.
What is this
There's
world?
a world.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
All right, moving right along.
Yeah, that's the tip of the day is to go outside, I guess.
One more thing
yeah,
before
yeah.
we move on. Last night we did a real cool play test.
Playing
Blood Bowl. We're like applying fantasy football to Blood Bowl. So if you're into like sports and stuff, but you've been trying to get into tabletop stuff, maybe tune in on Thursdays for our Blood Bowl experiments that we're doing right now. It's really cool.
Yeah.
You're trying to figure out how to properly like take fantasy football and make it interactive.
Yeah, we basically draft your own team and watch this like football game happen, and you're trying to make your own team do good. So I thought it went really well last night. But
Cool.
Anyway, we can
I'm
move on.
about it.
Let's
I'm about it.
Let's move on. That was just a little thing I needed to plug.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
You've been quiet over here.
Yeah.
First thing we're going to talk about, so YouTube is finally considering letting content or creators sell their own ads.
What?
So previously, as we all know, it was kind of a third-party thing where YouTube would kind of work with an advertiser, whether it's Coca-Cola or any sort of brand, and they would then strategically place ads in your videos. You actually do have a lot of manual control on where you can have those ads placed. Otherwise, YouTube algorithmically will sort of determine where it thinks it's best suited in your video. But now, I think they're really trying to experiment and give creators the opportunity to try to bring in more, revenue. We know that, unless your channel is of a certain size or you have a certain viewership, it's really hard to get sponsored content or get people to bring in, money towards a show or toward a piece or a video or anything like that. So I'm really curious to see how this will work. Like right now, apparently it's being rolled out to a very, 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 very small pocket of the YouTube community. And I think it's going to be a lot of trial and error to really see whether or not it's going to take off. There's not a whole lot of information as to how much percentage YouTube or Google will take from the ad. Is it going to be sort of the same way that they've done in the past where it's a 60-40? Is it going to be more? Is it going to be less? Is there going to be a minimum amount of ad space that people will have to sell for their video? But I'm really curious to see how many creators will take advantage of this, how many creators are business-minded enough to really understand how it's going to work, if they're going to break it down in a way that really makes sense for everybody, so everybody has a chance. Like, I think there's a lot of potential with this, but I'm really curious to see how it's going to be rolled out to the masses and how we could.
So is this
like
letting creators make those connections themselves and be like, hey, I've made a partnership that I want to run this ad.
Yeah.
And then you get to place it wherever you want.
Yeah,
in your video?
that's what it sounds like.
And
yeah.
I imagine it would end up creating a lot of third-party in between.
Yeah.
Say, I'll link you up with a creator. We
Right.
have this ad. We'll link you up with a creator who it might be better for their community. This happens a lot on other platforms.
Yeah, it's already happening.
And it does
though.
already
Yeah.
happen. It sounds like YouTube's just trying to sanction it and create some sort of tool that allow it to happen.
And I think from what it sounds like YouTube is trying to help creators kind of tailor ads that are better suited for what they do. Like we just did one for Skillshare, and I think there's a lot of creators on the platform who would benefit more from a Skillshare targeted ad than something for like a sneaker.
So I have reservations about this because if people like Skillshare decide to then, or if they're even told, if Google goes to them and says, hey, we have a new program now, instead of going directly to all those creators like you've been doing, you need to go through us first. Now every one of those creators Skillshare was working with are going to get even less of a cut than they were already getting. And that's my only concern, is that YouTube will try to kind of jump in between what's already happening. I feel like this is reactionary to the fact that a lot of creators have been like, well, I'm just going to go directly to these brands and do it myself, because that's how most YouTubers survive right now. And my concern is YouTube trying to get in front of that and create another stopgap that will just take more money away from creators instead of actually give creators more.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that's. They're also working on, because the gaming thing has really been. I mean, it's always been pretty big on YouTube, but it continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger. They're going to start introducing their version of bits soon as well, and a few other things that Twitch has already been doing. So
Can I just say, gamification, with great power comes great responsibility. You can't just throw things like bits onto like any kind of platform and expect this like huge adoption. So
Yeah.
I'm very skeptical when I hear like, gamification applied to just like business revenue kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
we'll see how that turns out.
I mean, even on Twitch, I don't feel like bits get utilized super effectively for the person who's streaming. It's really just a moneymaker for Twitch.
Yes and no.
It depends on the streamer.
It depends
Twitch
on the
makes,
streamer.
like-
We're unique. We're very unique. A lot of people don't make money the way we make money.
I know, and a lot of people make a little bit of money off of bits, but I think it's ultimately, like, you got to remember whenever they're doing these kind of things, it's for the company to make money. Like, it's just a way for them to sell $1 for $1.40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've sold you $1 for extra money.
But I can tell, like, from my conversations with Twitch, like, they've even encouraged me, like, hey, Malika, you could run bits through some extensions you're developing. And I'm like, why am I trying to make more money for you?
Yeah.
I don't have enough money for us. You know?
Yeah.
You
It
gotta be
is-
really careful. We're under NDA on those conversations.
It is fun, though, that you can, like, earn ways to help your, creator that you're supporting. You can kind of earn that money by watching ads on Twitch. I
Yeah.
do like that. Like,
No,
there
I
are
like
people
that a
that can't
lot.
support us, but they, like, cash in on, like, I've watched enough ads and it earned me bits, and now I'm going to give them to
Yeah.
you. That's kind of cool.
That is cool.
I mean, would you be more likely to watch? Because for me, a lot of times I try to not skip ads when I'm like just casually viewing because I do want, the revenue to go to that creator. But I feel like I would be more inclined to watch the ad if I know that even if it's the creator actually recording the ad or working with the sponsor to create a very specific ad for their video.
Yeah.
Instead of kind of traditionally how we do it, where we're just sort of like monologuing or reading off of like something that's prepared for us, or something that we sort of like reinterpretate based on guidelines that we get.
I do think I would be more engaged with an ad if I knew the creator was directly responsible for it.
Yeah.
Like, I secured this deal, please watch it.
Yeah.
I would definitely be watching that. But sometimes it's like I'm watching, like, a camera review video and a Bud Light ad pops on.
Exactly.
It's
I
like,
don't want that.
skip. I don't give a shit about this.
Yeah, if I'm watching Potato Jet, I want to see Potato Jet doing an ad for something.
Yeah, and I don't think any of us here are the type of people who would ever call someone a sellout for doing ads.
Oh, no.
No.
Making content costs money.
That's
Well,
the
because
way to
we're
survive.
on
It's
that
the
we're on
way
that
to do
side,
it.
so we get it.
Yeah.
It's people who are on the other side who don't make content who are like, oh, you're taking money from how do you
no
think
shit.
this still gets paid for?
No shit!
That's the first thing we learned in just like media school, is that your content is a commercial to get the viewer to the ad. Like, the content is just, we're trying to get money for these advertisers. Like, that is how
it's an
all of this
industry.
is supported.
Yeah, it's called being an attention merchant. That's what they call it there.
You can either subscribe, you can give me your money directly, or you can sit here and
Give me your attention.
My
Yeah.
advertiser can pay for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now with the ability of selling merch directly through your YouTube channel, like I wonder if there will be opportunities for Teespring to partner up with a creator to create some sort of targeted ad that's like, even though all you have to do is just like click literally under the video to get merch.
That'd be cool.
Like I wonder if those sort of opportunities will be available as well, as opposed to just because sometimes, and every creator is guilty of this, but like sometimes you have to do it. Like sometimes you have to work with a sponsor or brand who's like, we'll give you money to do this, and sometimes it's really hard to find a way of like tying that messaging into what you do.
Yeah.
Like if it is something for like a sneaker, you're like, well, we don't really talk about fashion or lifestyle, so like how do we work this in? You always have to find like I feel like with MeUndies, we just kind of turned into a bit, and we started making, the Mies Chonis thing became a thing, and like we love doing it because we could kind of make it our own thing. So I'm curious to see how this will work and how YouTube is going to, like you were saying, are they going to try to be the middleman and remove the ability of any other type of sponsor?
I've seen it happen with
stuff.
other platforms that I've had conversations with, and it's the unfortunate thing that happens when you have corporate people who are like, oh no, we're not making as much money on ads as we used to. How do we increase that revenue?
Yeah.
Oh shoot, our content creators are going directly to these suppliers, and they can't compete with that. If your big suppliers are going directly to them,
And the more middlemen you add to this pot, the more it's going to dilute the money that you get,
Yeah.
obviously.
Exactly.
Like, if you got to pay more people now, then it's like the creator's going to get less money.
Yeah.
But I wonder if they're going to put stipulations on, like, well, we set up these partnerships that you can get through our thing that, we've created.
It's
so
a big bowl.
You're not allowed to go
Yeah.
directly anymore. You're not allowed to secure these deals directly.
which
you
would
have
suck
to go
because,
through this
like,
YouTube process.
Yeah, which would suck because if they set the guidelines and they set the min max of like what you can ask for and what to expect, then I think it completely. I don't know. I don't think creators are going to be as enthusiastic to go through those specific. They're going to start looking for new brands and sponsorships. So I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, we'll see how it shakes down.
Moving on.
So I wanted to talk about this this Tales from the Loop trailer that came out a few days ago or yesterday. I don't even know.
Yesterday, yeah.
Time moves weird.
It was amazing.
So Tales from the Loop is there is an RPG based off of an art book by this artist Simon Stalenhag. I never know how to pronounce these like Swedish with like the dot or like the circle over the A.
I think it's Stalenhag.
Stalenhag. Yeah. Anyway,
I went to Sweden once.
He's got this art book that became really popular. It's basically like a sort of like a sci-fi suburbia retro future, you know, kind of like 80s, but like there's these weird like mechanical structures off in the distance, just like really iconic art that like you've probably all seen. They made an RPG. There were some creators that made an RPG, like a tabletop role-playing game based off of this art book.
Modiphius Entertainment.
Mm-hmm. Because it was such powerful art to like you see these kids walking in through the woods, and there's just like this giant, you know, nuclear reactor off in the distance, and then there's like some like walking alien creature in the field over here, and it's just like, what world is this? But anyway, the show, they're now they're working on a show. Matt Reeves is working on it, right?
Yeah, he's an executive producer, and I don't remember if he is a writer on the show.
Yeah. Amazon is they've basically dropped the first trailer for this show that here's what they have written. It's imagine an alternate version of our world filled with fantastical machines and creatures juxtaposed against a suburban countryside. The paintings were set in a shared universe where a massive particle accelerator built underground, dubbed the Loop, caused strange and mysterious machines and events to occur. So like in the RPG system, like this, this particle accelerator is kind of pulling stuff in from other dimensions, and it's creating the world that we have. So it's like a really cool idea, and we played the tabletop RPG here on our channel for a bit. We had sort of a different take on it here, where it was more of like a horror thing, but I think the actual like RPG book, a lot of their stories are more like mystery, kids solving mysteries
just like
kind of
Kolak
thing.
1991, where we took the Kids on Bikes system and made our own story around it. Cameron took the Tales from the Loop system and made his own story around it.
Because we were already doing like blood-curdling tales of terror, like a horror thing without a like dedicated system. So we were like, let's put this horror into the Tales from the Loop, which is a really cool thing you can do with tabletop RPGs, because a lot of times they're just a framework for how to tell a story. They're rules and stuff like that, and that's what makes them different. But it's like, these are the cool rules that would make this world like easier to flesh out. So this world, it's a blend of 80s suburban science fiction, and what I love about these paintings is it feels like a retro future sci-fi that's not so like grim dark.
Yeah,
I guess to steal from the Warhammer universe.
There's a video game out too on Steam. I'm trying to remember the name of it. A couple of our community members play it, and they try to get that. Also, is kind of using this art.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I get really worn out by all the sci-fi that's so like dystopian. That's why I really love movies like Her is a great example of like, here's a future that's not so bleak, everyone makes it and is okay, and we're all like still human and we support each other, but so much of sci-fi is just like, all right, it's 20 years in the future, everyone's fucking killing each other now. It's like, what the fuck?
Machines are taking over.
Well, is it really everything's just gonna be so bad all the time?
I mean, I think it's interesting, like after the Cold War, we were really afraid of like technology and where we were headed, right? And so I think right now, this is what my like social studies sister told me. The reason why
I knew it. I'm
in so much pain right now. I have stuff in my eye. Excuse me.
No.
So if I'm blinking 1,000 times, that's why. I'm not like trying to hit on you or anything. Basically, she was saying that like hipsters are like bringing back like knitting and like folk crafts and stuff because we are speeding towards the future so fast.
Yeah.
We miss those things.
Yeah.
So I think that's why sci-fi is not so much like, the T-1000 is going to kill us all,
right.
and more like let's still honor our traditions and our humanism as technology continues to maybe elevate those things.
And it's I think it is a growing trend to be like, we are headed to the future, but like technology is moving so fast, but we've kind of seen that it's not really changing anything. as far as just like our relationships and stuff.
But they are online bullying.
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, it's. I think it's like taking those small elements and blending them in. Also, I don't know that this is like a future thing. It's like it feels very retro future.
Past.
Yeah.
It's really hard to tell when
Yeah.
it's set. Like you should definitely watch the trailer. It's super short. But yeah, I mean, I think this is. Honestly, I think that they're pulling a lot from the RPG because, like, you can say all this stuff about the art, but where in the art does it be like, this is a particle accelerator called the loop? No, that's from the RPG.
Yeah.
So I think that they're pulling a lot from the RPG, and there are a lot of examples of this happening now where RPGs are inspiring TV shows and movies and stuff. I mean, it's always kind of been a thing with D&D and high fantasy.
Onward is a D&D movie.
Yeah, and you have The Expanse, which started off as an RPG, but I think
Before it was a book.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then it became a book, and then it became a series. I think that this is going to be a growing trend as I think tabletop RPGs are coming more into the mainstream.
Well, I mean, this is something you and I have known for a long time, but is just now kind of surfacing. When we first started doing Geek and Sundry and looking at RPGs, we met a couple groups that were screenwriters who have RPG groups where they test out their ideas for their TV shows.
Right, yeah.
And it makes so much sense to me.
And it's like a great test bed for being like, I'm going to act like a character with you, and we're going to see how we figure this out. It's like sometimes it's really hard to be like writing, and it's like, what would this person say in this scenario? And you write some cheesy as fuck line, but then whenever you're like role playing it and you're actually in it, it's like, no, this is what I would say because I'm actually interacting with you. And I know that helps for a lot of writers. I've heard like writing people that, they don't understand. It's like, I'd rather role play with that person. I'd rather role play with a group of women or a group of, people of color and like put myself in that situation and see how we all interact. So I think that we might see more of this. And like, do you guys have any like RPGs that you've played that you would be like, man, this is like a cool
Man, let me tell you about this one RPG called Kolok 1991 that would be so dope as a Amazon series.
But the thing about that system is that's the Kids on Bike system, which is already based on like the way that those movies were in the 80s.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it's already perfect for.
Oh yeah.
It's tried and true, good for movies.
We also make that show as if it's a serial TV show in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
As far as other systems, I think would convert really well.
I think there's some good superhero systems that would translate well to superhero movies.
I like Top Secret, which is a spy action movie system that was been remade. It was made in the 80s. It was like the first action movie system. And then we played it recently to do a Keanu-verse RPG. But I think like with Archer and stuff, like I love that genre of like spy and espionage. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. I think like, what is it, Mutants and Masterminds? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's like a really good like character creator for like superheroes. And it's like, fuck, dude, I could easily just like make a series out of this thing that I just wrote with my buds.
I mean, we've talked about how, on Comics and Coffee at least, how so many creators and writers and stuff are making graphic novels, one-offs, comic book runs. Like Mark Millar, he sold his entire thing to Netflix. And I guarantee that things like Space Bandits are comic books, and are basically used as like, hey, this is our pitch deck for the Space Bandit show. So I think the same thing would apply for RPGs.
It's all just like story is kind of universal.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to find out firsthand when Critical Role hits Amazon Prime and we see how well it translates.
It's an animated series, right?
Yeah, which I'm sure it will. Like, you got your beginning, middle, and end, your subplots and your sub-arcs, and then your overall arc. And, like, I think it's going to be a growing thing that this is just, like, a great way to write a series. And that's my topic. I just watch the trailer. It's cool.
Well, I think it's like the one thing that I will say is like I like the idea of being able to write not necessarily a script, but to take an RPG or some sort of a system and then write your story based around that to see how it works, but then playing it out with people and, like you're saying, really helping to define like what the tone and the story and who the characters are.
It adds an extra element of like, I know what I want my character to do, but sometimes my character's going to fail. And it adds in like, now I have to think about it whenever it's like, it's not easiest for the story for my character to fail, but like, what if they did right now? And it kind of adds that in with like the randomization of dice and stuff.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it.
Awesome. Well, moving on. Look at that. We have a timer. We're gonna make this lesson an hour long. You're welcome,
We'll see.
Adam. So I'm kind of
She can't not be boss today.
You know, if you
Full-on
want
boss
to be
mode today.
like armchair criticism, like backseat bossing, we'll see how your segment goes and if it runs over time.
I didn't even write an idea down.
Oh, look at that.
That sounds about right.
Didn't even put in the
That checks
work.
out.
All right. All I wanted to say is I'm a big self-improvement nerd. I like learning. Learning is fun. I like working on myself. I collect hobbies. I call it my sickness because I'm just always learning some kind of new thing. Doesn't mean I'm good at it. But it's just kind of my, like, I think my mission in life is just to be a better person. But now that I've been CEO for more than 14 months, I've been thinking of how can I not like improve myself for myself, but improve myself for my team, right? Or how can I be a better leader? And I've been looking at a few things. One is I'm a survivor of some horrible anxiety. And like I've learned how to like manage it for myself, but you know, I was just reading this article about how your boss can give you a lot of anxiety, and that's happened to me before, but I never thought about how I could create anxiety as a boss. So like, for example, I learned from like a Harvard business article, you know, when your boss asks you like, hey, can we have a meeting or can we have a one-on-one, but not saying what the meeting is about, that can be extremely anxiety inducing. And I felt that where I'm like, oh no, is this
Can we have a meeting next week? Make sure you don't put anything in your calendar for the next month, by the way.
Right. Where it makes people feel like, oh no, am I going to get fired? Was my last project a failure, etc. And your boss is just like, hey, can you figure out catering for the next event? And you're like, oh, So just like learning those kinds of things. And so I've been meeting with a lot of professionals. One, last Friday, I met with a professional organizer to specifically work on emails, because one of our goals here, or for myself, is to raise revenue with other businesses so that like we can get paid better, we can or just pay you, period, or pay other employees, that kind of thing. And then I realized that most of our B2B jobs, business to business, they start and end in my inbox. So if I'm not in charge of like my emails and I'm not on that system, then like that could be missed money, right? And then so I actually talked about this last Friday on stream. People were really interested to find that the life trajectory of a project often is first contact networking, then like talking about how we can work together, then Hyper either pitches an idea at a brand or a brand pitches it back to us. Then we like figure out a budget, if that's available, who's going to pay for it. Then we go to contracts. Then we usually hire a producer to produce the event or the series or the episodes. Then, you know, there's like the postmortem and then like final invoicing. And so like, I think people don't even realize, you know, when they're like, how did you work with Power Rangers? How did you work with Funimation? Like, what kind of system I need to put in place to even make all that happen. So when CEOs seem really busy, they're like, what the hell is your job? That's the kind of things that I'm doing. And then working with this professional email organizer, because oftentimes those bullet points are done through email. How can I like automate that? How can I make templates for, I need to collect the invoice. I need you to sign an NDA. I need to get a contract through to really streamline that process so that I can be more efficient. Because right now we don't have the budget to hire more people. Another thing that I've been working on, this morning I had a meeting with a diversity trainer because I am oftentimes asked to speak on diversity topics, and I'm like, did not go to school for this, right? Like people have PhDs about diversity, and yet people have started to come to me as a resource. And one of the first things that I learned from her was, she said, like, you know, Malika, if you are becoming a resource in your field about diversity, like this is a vertical you can grow for yourself and then also grow for your team so that we can all be better advocates for creating a more inclusive community, more inclusive content. So that's another project I've been working on. And I also just want to say I'm on 3 panels at WonderCon, if you're going, talking about some more of these issues. So that's all I wanted to say today, that I've just been working on myself for other people instead of being less selfish about, like less introspective, like being introspective, but also trying to push myself and to learn and to collect other resources for the betterment of the group. You know, also like improving our health insurance for everybody. Those are kind of where my mind is at right now as CEO. Well,
Dude, nice.
I feel like I've mastered the art of not having 2,000 unread emails in my email inbox between 5 different accounts, and it makes me feel so much better.
Yeah.
Especially after, hearing that you had an email organizer come in. I was like, all
Which
right.
sounds funny, but some of the best time
but
I've
I mean,
spent.
I spent after she left, I was like, I'm going to look through my email and see like what I can automate.
Yeah.
And I definitely made a lot of like
Right.
filters for folders and stuff. And it does help to be able to just look and see like, all right, public relations, I'll get to that later. But then it's like important stuff, whether it's about like a show or someone like emails me something they want to like have us do a show or something, then I'm like, cool, I can prioritize my emails a lot better that way than just seeing 50 unread things that I'm like, I don't even know where to begin. This is too overwhelming. So I just close it.
So I learned like 2 things maybe you guys at home can action item on. The average like office worker spends at least 25% of their time on emails, if not more. Some of you at home might feel like your job is 50 or 100% emails.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a way that you can like reclaim some time. Another thing that the email organizer taught me is processing emails and working on emails are 2 separate things. And I think for myself and maybe a lot of other people at home, it's the same thing where I process what to do with this email and responding to emails or like, okay, see the stuff attached all at the same time. And so she told me to spend an hour every day. And I was like, shit, an hour processing and labeling these are things I need to follow up on. These are just like receipts or things I need for records. These are projects that are finished. Like sorting those things. And then once I've processed, sorted all that stuff, going into my follow-up folder. And that's where the work is done.
I guess I kind of do that already. Because, I'll do, if I know it's like trash email stuff that I like, if it's some sort of like subscriber list or whatever that I've somehow fallen onto, I'm like trash, something I'll archive or I'll put in the folder. But then I will go through and like, okay, cool. I know this is like a priority thing. If it's like an invitation to something, okay, I know I need to respond to that in a timely manner.
And the more you label stuff, the more you train your Gmail to like figure it out itself, which is starting to happen after doing this for a week. Is really cool.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know it did
But
that.
I just feel like so much more on top of stuff. And also she kind of helped me identify, you can over-organize and you can also like have a bad system, but you can also have too much to do. And because like I have a better system now, I can kind of see the point of I'm not being a bad boss or I'm not bad at systems or filing or I'm not disorganized. I just have too much to do. And it's nice to like have that validation too, where I'm not a failure. I just have like too much shit on my plate.
Did she recommend creating multiple accounts? So like, let's say, so we do have a lot of stuff that's like public relations related. Did she recommend like, okay, you have your main email account that's all business. You can have like a PR account that's all just like any sort of like invitation to events and all that sort of stuff, or was it mostly just like folder based?
So I already separate my personal and from my business, and she said that was really, really good. And then we actually have additional email accounts here at Hyper, and so having another inbox necessarily doesn't help if your like filing system is really good. So yeah,
it's good to know. I have like 5 email accounts that I manage, and sometimes I'm like, I get tired of it.
Yeah, I have 3: junk, personal, business.
Yeah, I've got like 3 junk. So I would like to organize my junk too.
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
I wanted to talk about character bleed in RPGs today. I was asked by one of the mods to bring it up next time we did a HyperCast, specifically because we've had a couple episodes of Kolok that have gotten very dark and heavy, and characters have made choices that audience members seem to be having a hard time differentiating the choice that the character made versus the choice that the player made, and they're taking some of their anger and some of their frustration over what has happened, even some of their grief, and putting it on the person who plays the character instead of keeping it in world.
Yeah.
And just wanted to talk to you guys about if you've experienced this, tools you might think that our audience should employ, because I don't think it's as big of a problem as, say, it might be being made out to be. I think it's partly natural. Because you're angry, you're upset, you get, I think psychologically sometimes you might feel just as much for a fictional character as you do a real person, because your brain doesn't sometimes know the difference. And say if that fictional character dies and you think someone's responsible for it, you might go through some motions. But just wanted to talk about kind of making sure that you keep that thing separate. And I wanted to talk about it because Lucas is sitting here, who plays a character on that show. And the character makes a lot of bad choices. Mm-hmm. As a player, have you ever found yourself thinking, this is what my character would do, but then you second guess yourself because you know the audience will get mad at you personally?
I don't think I've ever second-guessed myself in the moment. Like, when I'm at the table, it's fine. But then, yeah, sometimes it'll be like after the show, I'll be on Twitter, and it'll be like, Lucas sucks. And it's like, oh, that was Billy. I'm Lucas. But, yeah, I mean, like, I feel like I play a character who woke up from a coma. He's only 15 years old, but he was in a coma for 10 years of his life, so he's missed out on a lot. So he's kind of like a sociopath. He's like he's trying to learn empathy, but he's like very young and naive, so he makes a lot of dumb choices, which can be very fun. And I try not to let it be like, because I get really annoyed by when someone just makes a dumb choice to be like funny, and it's like, oh, I shoot him, like I get really annoyed by that kind of stuff. So I try to make those, you still have just common sense as any character. I try to make those like dumb decisions, the naive decisions, I try to make them matter and be like important. I think season 1, I did have a lot of like, I had a lot of people that were upset with my character's decisions, but then I think they started to understand who the character was.
Yeah.
So I did feel that at first. I think at first, in the first like few episodes that we did of Kolak, people were just like, what an idiot character. And then the more it was like, you learn about this character, and the more you learn about what he's been through, and like, the stuff that he thinks about in his journals, it's like, oh, okay, now I get it.
Well, I think what's important for me as a content creator is making it clear that you need an idiot character, and you need a character who's going to make the wrong choice. Otherwise, your show sucks.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important for you as audience members to remember that, for instance, things that have happened on the show recently between Abria's character, Laura, and stuff that she had done. We talk about these things off the show. It's not like a situation where they make a choice with their character and everyone on the show afterwards is like, you suck. How could you do that? Oh, you're the cause of all of this. At the end of the day, we want to tell a good story. And if their actions in character lead to a better story, we're applauding each other. And we're like, that was great. This is awesome. Look at where we're going. And then I think to our surprise, we'll get on Twitter or Discord and we'll see a lot of certain individuals will be taking that pain of a good story and kind of reflecting it back on the creator of it. And I think this happens a lot in tabletop RPGs because you're so close to the content creators and the stories they're telling. Mm-hmm. We know it happens in movies too, where you externalize some of your pain for a character onto the creators.
Yeah.
But I think it's really important you always ask yourself at the end of the day, were they making a choice that helped the story be better? It's not... I don't want to get to a place where my players are afraid to make choices because of how the audience will react to it. That's not good for the show, and it's not good for the story. So if you start realizing you're taking some of that pain you feel and some of that hurt, and you're externalizing it towards those characters, remember, you could be fundamentally hurting the success of the show through externalizing that, because you're going to put that actor under pressure to start second-guessing themselves and start thinking about what they're doing instead of what's best for the story and the character. And, oh no, I don't want the hate from this, and
that does happen. I'm not saying that like just because I don't have it doesn't mean that it's not an issue, because I know a lot of people playing RPGs on camera. It's like, I don't want to upset the audience, so I'm going to do this thing that's very vanilla, middle of the road thing.
Or I'm going to do this thing I think the audience wants instead of what's best.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make a good show. At the end of the day, if we just did what the audience wants, we wouldn't be doing Kolak anymore. We'd be done with the show by now. And we have to do things that people necessarily don't want emotionally, but are best for the story. And that's, I think, one of the challenges with doing something every week, keeping it going 3 hours at a time. But we just had Nega Oryx on the show, and I told her from the start, what was going to happen. It was like, we're going to create a character that's really fun, but then your character is going to do things and the audience will hate you. And I tried to prep her for that, and just like, are you ready? And she said, yeah, but at the same time, you could see, after the show, she might make some comments like, oh man, they're going to hate me so much. It's all by design, and she's not trying to ruin our game. Her getting up and taking the GM seat was not something that was hurtful to me or the table. It was planned to create a more engaging moment, to excite you in the audience for something different, and none of that fear or anger should ever be directed to her as a person. These characters exist within the world of the show. You can be frustrated at a character, but don't ever attach that frustration to the person playing it. That's very, very important. Yeah. Do you have any advice, Malika, on character bleed and dealing with them?
I think creating for like GMs at home and stuff, or, like if you're a teacher and you play with students, some new RPG players, I think creating a separation between when we're off, and at our studio, it's upstairs, it's eating snacks, it's drinking water, it's watching funny YouTube videos, and when we're on, which is when we're at the table, the cameras are on, and then when we're off again, we're not live and we can kind of decompress. So that's our ritual here at Hyper RPG. At home or at your board gaming store, it may look like something different where, when you're on, I think being in character and wearing your costume and changing your voice, people understand that's your character, and your character may be a shitty person, they may be untrustworthy, but that's role play. And then afterwards, you just kind of, you have to turn off. Actors have to do this all the time, and I think we can learn a lot from that. And then also, if there is a wonderful resource. It's called the RPG Safety Checklist, and it has a bunch of topics that some people may be sensitive to, so that you can, sometimes I wasn't even thinking about this, but I realized for myself, I have a hard time RPGing situations about cancer treatment because I'm a cancer survivor. And I didn't even realize that about myself until I went down the RPG checklist. And so that is a really great resource if you want to check that out. And then have those conversations with the players where another game that I'm GMing from the community, like none of the players wanted to be romance, and that was completely fine. And they can kind of do that in a discreet way so that the GM can manage those expectations. But yeah,
I think that's a discussion about boundaries and getting to know your players. I'm more in particular want to talk about the audience relation to the players and the audience starting to attach their feelings towards the people who are doing a really good job. It's almost like the better the actor, the more the audience starts to hate them because they're making choices that they think are detrimental to the characters they like.
I wanna just bring up a great example. My family loves movies. I think we all grew up with families that love movies, right? And whenever a villain was really awesome at being a villain, as a kid, I was like, I hate that person, right? Like, for the rest of his life, the guy, what's his name, who played Voldemort, like, children would be like, I hate that person. I'm scared of him at the grocery store. But my parents always reinforced with me, no, they're a great actor. Respect them for being a great actor. And we're like kind of fans of Bob Odenkirk. And Zach and I, we were just watching Undone and Better Call Saul, and he is so good at playing somebody untrustworthy, kind of slimy, you know what I mean? Like, he seems friendly, but he's like trying to get you.
It always just makes me think of the old Mr. Showbits where he was always playing somebody that was selling you something.
Yes, and he's so fantastic at it. I even recognize in myself, like, if I met him in person, I might have those feelings about him, even though I don't know anything about him, and he's just a really great character actor, right? So I think checking yourself and realizing that people are doing a job and that it's acting and creating those separations is great. And then if I could ask of the audience, even just using, we're all human beings here. It's not like Lucas was being shitty. It was Billy being shitty. And I think I would really appreciate that from everybody who watches our content.
Yeah, and I think the big difference between a movie and what we do here is we don't have that $100 million set with like makeup and costumes and all that sort of stuff.
It looks like Lucas making the
exactly
good choices.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we also are doing it in the moment, like lots of times.
Right.
Sometimes I'll make a decision immediately, be like, fuck, that was dumb, but I can't take it back because I said it out loud, so it is out there, and we move on from here. I can't be like, no, that's not what I meant. Actually,
let's go back. Let's do another take. I don't think that's going to play too well.
And you can do that with movies. You can plan out a script. We're just kind of flying by the seat of our pants.
You can literally shoot it both
Sometimes
ways
we're
and see
gonna
what
do
works
dumb
better.
stuff, and that's okay.
And I would say, for as difficult as it might be for you as an audience member, understand that for the people at this table, how much vulnerability they have to put on display to do this. Because like you just said, you're having to react and act in the moment, never knowing if the choice you're going to make is a good one or a bad one until it plays out.
Yeah.
And you can't see into the future. It's not like a script where you know how this is going to work out.
Yeah.
You're having to play within that moment. And it takes a lot of bravery for stories that have this kind of consequence attached to them, and especially when the audience cares about them so much. And we don't want to play it safe. So inherently, every person on the show is going to at one point encounter bad audience vibes. And it ebbs and flows. You know, one week people are like, fuck Mallory Jenkins. And then the next week they're cool with them. And it's just part of the show. But understand it takes a lot for these actors to do that too, and should show them some respect.
I mean, you literally threw a portal in front of him, and he was like, I jump in. And I can't imagine for you to sit there and be like, shit, okay.
Yeah.
Right. But me also acting like part of the show is him doing that, and me responding as if you've ruined everything. In reality, as a storyteller, I have no ill will towards Sohinki whatsoever in that storytelling moment.
You're like, well, that's
the
a choice.
show. That's the choice. We're doing a improvisational story together. He made that choice. I put the portal in front of him. You know, like, we're doing this together. So part of the show at a meta layer is me being like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, this is the dumbest choice, but then after the cameras
show, it's
go
like,
off,
that was great.
we're like,
That was great.
oh, where are we doing? Oh, shit. Yeah, of course the next 3 weeks are totally different, but I don't care. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
I think also on other shows, what surprised me was a couple people in the community said that I am the most violent person at HyperRPG. And I think it's
that tracks.
I think it's because of, you know, like, I thought Warhammer was like really like over the top, but even just like somebody, because I have an interest in martial arts and human anatomy, you know, like, people have made those associations about me, and I just think it's really interesting, but
Yeah.
you know, I also help take care
So
of
what
children
are you,
and
I'm
animals.
confused. What are you trying to say? People's assumptions that you're the most violent here is true?
No.
Oh, okay. I was confused.
I feel like
Give
RPGs
up.
sometimes can be a tough balance because it just looks like it's Lucas, Mika, Sohinki, you know, Shelby, Abria. It just sometimes I think the audience like doesn't realize there's a layer in front of that of like, we're in Kolak, we're in a world.
And I want them to feel safe
Yeah.
as performers. I don't want them
Take
to start
risks.
second guessing every decision. And I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen so many times. It pisses me off. It really does. When I start seeing or hearing after a show, before a show, players like, I don't want to do that. The audience would hate it. Now we have a less successful show.
Yeah.
Because
Less risk, less chance.
exactly. You have to make those choices. You just have to. And you have to sometimes be willing to do things the audience won't like and trust that they'll still stick by you and know that that's a choice your character had to make, not you as a person trying to ruin something.
There was a perfect comment in a recent Kolak episode. I don't remember exactly which one, but somebody literally left a comment, man, I hate Mallory Jenkins, but I love Sohinki. He's so great.
Yeah.
And that's great. Like, honestly,
That's
I
what
love
you
to play
want.
characters like that. I like seeing shit like that. Like, man, I really like Lucas, but Billy sucks. Like, cool, dude. Thank you.
No, that means you're doing well as a
I'm
performer.
like,
Yeah.
making irrational decisions, and like, you have no story if you don't have conflict.
And-
If we all just got what we wanted,
Yeah.
the show would be over.
And as a creator, as the GM of the show, part of my technique, and I don't know if I should be saying this out loud, but I watch the audience very closely. And if I see the audience saying one week, oh, this is the best character, we love them so much, I start writing a storyline to make you hate them. And then vice versa. If you say this character sucks, I hate them so much, I'm starting to write a storyline that makes you love them. Because we have to do this show every week, and it has to ebb and flow for possibly a very, very long time. So it's really important to me that there is this complexity there of you finding a way to feel for and against every character at the table. And as the audience flows with it, I'm immediately going to counteract it, because that's how we have to make the show interesting and keep you guessing and keep you on the edge of your seat.
It's called layers.
You have to.
Ogres have.
I mean, in
layers.
improv, in improv, they teach. What are we doing? Okay, we're improving, we're drinking coffee or something, but what we're really doing is what is happening to this relationship, right? That's what all we're doing is over and over again. What is happening to this relationship? What is happening to this relationship? And how
they
does that
love
change?
Tibby. Kill him. Get him out of here. Dead. Dead.
Oh no.
I told him to tweet out.
Oh, they like Bucket? Dead. Get him out of here.
Who are your favorite characters in Kolok? And then retweet that being like, great, I now have my hit list.
Oh, damn. That's lethal.
But I told her, like, they know me too well. If I put out who are your favorite characters in Kolok, everybody would respond with, don't answer this. Don't do this. Don't respond. It's a trap.
Yeah.
So now I got to find a bit to reverse it, you know? Like, oh, you love these characters? They'll
What?
stick around.
Yeah, I know.
No, damn it. I fell into their trap.
Is there any other final things anyone wants to bring up about any topic or anything we didn't get a chance to cover?
I think we're good. Let's
Nah,
keep
dude.
this video
Nah,
short
dude.
Let's
and
keep
tight.
it. Yeah, let's keep it tight.
Thank you guys. You
Any,
know,
any
it's
questions?
Not this week.
not this week, but I do want to say, honestly, going back to the fact that it's our birthday, as the owner of this company, I want to very heartfeltly say thank you. We have watched so many around us rise and fall, move in and out. The industry has been changing so much right beneath us, and the fact that we're still here going into our 5th year blows my mind, and it's nothing short of a small miracle. So thank you so much for supporting us. Thank you for allowing us to make weird art on the internet. The fact that we get to experiment and come up with crazy ideas and see if they work is something that I know I will remember for the rest of my life. No matter where my career takes me, I will think back to this time and think how fortunate I was that we were able to experiment and try things. I mean, it's what every creator dreams of. It's what every creator dreams of growing up. I wish I could do my ideas. And the fact that you all supported us, just thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
And continue to support us. I mean, it's crazy to me. I
Yeah,
can't
it's
believe
wild.
it. Yeah.
It's wild. I don't know how we're still here.
And that's the show.
All right.
Make sure you guys like, subscribe, check out all the other videos that we're doing. Check us out live on Twitch at 4 p.m. every single weekday. And we'll catch you in the next episode.
Bye-bye.
Bye.